Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about some breaking news, and it's kind of a big deal. I really like the Missing Link line, and in fact, Friday, I'm going to be putting out my list of the 10 most needed or wanted characters or figures from Missing Link, so feel free to put that down below, what you're looking forward to the most in Missing Link that they haven't announced yet, what you'd like to see the most. But actually knowing that now the Ultra Magnus is going to have a trailer, it's going to have articulation, it's going to be pretty much what we should have had instead of a brick from back in the day, and I'm excited for that. But we're going to get into this. I'm going to discuss why this is such a big deal. Why is it breaking news? I'm not wasting time making this video. It's going to be a quick one, but we're going to get into this and hopefully dual mandate here that maybe in the comments below I get some ideas on what you're wanting to see in Friday's video, but I've already got my list, so we'll see about this and more coming up. First off, one of the things is that when they came out with Sentinel Prime, he is just a repaint, and it started to establish kind of how they were doing these things with Optimus Prime. We got a Sentinel Prime, we got a repaint of Prime in yellow. No trailer, which I was okay with that, by the way, no big deal. We get Nemesis Prime, and he's in a repaint with a trailer, so that's kind of cool. It's not out yet, but it's just kind of like this is the direction they were going. Then they say, they hint at an Ultra Magnus, and we start thinking, okay, well, they're hinting at Ultra Magnus. Is it just going to be a white Prime? And I got to point out that there's precedent for making just a white repaint and nothing more, and that's with this 4-pack. Now Takara actually still makes the designs, they still design this stuff, and for Hasbro to put this 4-pack out and only getting the downscaled version of Missing Link Prime in just the white only was kind of scary to me. I was like, uh-oh, if Missing Link goes this direction and we only get just a white repaint, that would suck for Ultra Magnus. But now we get the final reveal, and it turns out to be way better than we thought. So we are getting Ultra Magnus in his armor. Now I do want to talk about a few things here. First of all, the articulation. And with that, we're seeing that he's obviously going to have the head articulation, but is it on a ball joint? That's just going to clip on the top and should work pretty well. I start to wonder how much range it has, of course, because of the way it's designed, but it's still going to have more range than the original vintage one, which is a good thing. And then it looks like there's going to be updated shoulder articulation. Obviously, you're going to get it to go out to the side instead of just forward and back. That is a weak point on the vintage figures. So in the shoulder area, you're going to see that articulation outward. So 90 out to the side, probably, maybe a little less because of that, the way it's set up. Also, the missile launcher appears that A, it's not going to have a launching mechanism, but B, it's going to have some sort of transformation to it. You can see there's going to be a pin inserted there, so that opens up in the back. So there's going to be some level of transformation to that for whatever reason, but that's still something interesting there. We're obviously going to get better articulation in the elbows, I believe, and of course we will see rotation at the bicep where we did not. What we got at the bicep in the past was, I believe it was just because that thing went up and down in there, we just got the 90. From here we're going to see that we have got finger articulation. Now that's something my son was really big on, is the finger articulation being a big deal for him. And he was a mainline collector, but he wanted to get every Masterpiece figure he could so he can have finger articulation. Starting to integrate that into the mainline, and now we're going to get it with original vintage figures in G1 now that we're getting Missing Link. And so that works really well, so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Do want to say that we're going to be getting better hip articulation. So let's zoom in on the hips. Now that we're zoomed in on the hips, I am curious about a few things, like will it just have the same old clip-in parts forming for everything? Will some of these things just be more integrated? I'm curious about that, but yeah, parts forming clip-in parts. But the hip, so you're going to be going out to the side. See, this is where from the chest down was a brick on this thing. And now, I'm not sure how they're going to pull it off, though. So that's still something interesting that this picture doesn't show. And with that, we'll talk more about that in a second. But so he's going to go out range for the hip to go out probably 90 degrees to the side. But you also have a prime in there. So how's that going to work? Still curious about a lot of that stuff. How all this is going to end up working in the end. But I'm excited for it. One of the problems is the engineering and getting around how the original figure worked and how this new articulation is going to work, how they're going to handle all that. But it looks like they've got it all figured out to a point. Now, going down past this, we have to use our imagination. Obviously, we're going to have some knee articulation in this, probably some ankle articulation in it, and with that, just everything you'd want in a modernized version. And going to leave ourselves saying this is what I wish we had back when we were a kid back in the day. And that's exactly what this should be. That's what modern collecting should be in some respects. So that looks like it's going to be very good. Next thing we see from this picture is the fact that it says 9/5 of 2025. So I think that we're going to see a lot more information, more stuff with this. Now that I've zoomed out, I see the ab crunch. So it does have the ab crunch, and that is awesome too. And with that, we'll see everything this can do probably on 9/5, and I'm guessing price. So here's the thing. I didn't get my news initially from any news source or any news site. I saw this on Shozy Store. Now, of course, I wanted to make a video about it right away, but I kind of waited a little bit to see if there were going to be any more updated pictures today. Sometimes they do that. They showed originally kind of a shadow of it. Then the next day they come out with a color picture. Now they're making us wait till September 5th to actually get more pictures and more information about this. But right now there's a deposit $10 down at Shozy Store. And I do believe that it's a non-refundable. I'm not sure. I think this is a non-refundable one, but it's not eligible for the double deposit discount. Remember, TH and support your reviewer on the main page or the page you're ordering this from. And it helps the channel out. But I did put mine down, as you can see in the red pill at the bottom there that says that it's August 27th. I put my deposit down because I'm definitely getting this thing. I believe the next missing link we're going to get is RC, and missing link is doing two things for us. It's giving us what we would have liked our figures to do back in the 80s, like with Ultra Magnus, but also giving us figures that they never made before. And they're doing good service. And there's some question about RC as she was a prototype figure. A lot of people are asking, shouldn't she come out exactly as the prototype was made? Shouldn't there be a version that does not have all the extra articulation? That's exactly like it. And I have to admit, for a purist standpoint, I can see that. Like, if you make an exact Blur or Cup, and they're not the greatest figures in the world, and so it comes from this era. If you make an exact Rodimus, I understand that, but that's not what this line is. This line is giving us something that we've never had before as a prototype, but also upgrading it into modern articulation. And I'm glad they're going that route. I'm glad we're going to get it and not just be a statue. I don't know if I'd want them to fuse joints together to make it less operable. And so there's the discussion whether or not, if they do more prototypes in the future and they make them in the missing link line, such as Unicron. There we go, Unicron. They're making Ultra Magnus. Unicron could be made. It's a possibility that they could make Unicron. Would you want them to give it the modern treatment? Would you want them, if they're going to make a Unicron, they're going to charge $300 or whatever they're going to charge if they made a Unicron, would you want them to give it the same treatment they gave RC? Would you want it to have articulation? Would you want it to have the modern update to it? Or would you want it exactly as the prototype was? Obviously, it's a prototype that never got released because somebody somewhere along the line said this just isn't fun. Kind of like in Big with Tom Hanks. It just turns into a planet. That's not fun. So something about this kept it from getting produced. RC was because they didn't think boys would play with a pink car, girl car. This would have definitely sold well. It would have been like all these other ones, you know, like the Metroplexes and the Trypticons and all them, if they would have sold it. But I think somewhere along the line they said it's just not developed well enough. So I personally think that this should get the missing link treatment also. But again, I'm going to make my top 10 list. I think I'm just at 8 on my top 8 list on what I want them to make in the line. We'll be seeing that on Friday. Anyway, short video, real quick. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about Missing Link, Ultra Magnus? And go ahead right now and let me know what you think that you'd like to see in this line going forward, if you're in on it. And if you're not in on it, what would get you in on it? What one figure character that they made a Missing Link would make you want to get it? Maybe just that one. Like, subscribe to Deer Hanger out.